A ceiling fan will never actually cool down your house. If you seal off a room, place a thermometer inside, and flip on the fan, that temperature reading will not drop by a single fraction of a degree. Honestly, if you let it run long enough, the room might even get a little warmer because of the heat coming off the fan's motor. This is the core misunderstanding most people have about ceiling fans, and it is a big reason why roughly 60% of homeowners use them completely wrong. However, when you use them correctly, they are incredible money-saving tools. They are proven to slash summer energy bills by up to 40% and can make you feel up to 8 degrees cooler, all without changing the actual room temperature at all. So, if the machine isn't lowering the heat of the room, how does it save you money? And what is the very common mistake that over half of us are making that ruins all the benefits? Let's dive in. First, before we cover the biggest mistakes of using ceiling fans, we have to know what they are actually doing. The truth is, how a fan works has almost nothing to do with the air in the room and everything to do with the people standing in it. Our bodies are always releasing heat. On a hot summer day, our best trick for cooling down is sweating. But for sweat to work, that moisture has to evaporate. When you sit in a room with zero breeze, your body heat warms up a thin layer of air right against your skin. That layer traps the moisture coming off you. This creates a stagnant, invisible blanket of warm, sticky air that just hangs onto you. As long as that humid blanket stays put, fresh air can't reach your skin, your sweat stops evaporating, and you feel miserably hot, even if the room's temperature is perfectly fine. The single purpose of a ceiling fan is to tear that blanket away. When those angled blades spin, they pull air from the ceiling and push it down to the floor in a massive column. That air hits the ground, spreads out to the edges of the room, and travels back up the walls. This puts the entire room into a slow, continuous loop. As that moving air flows over your body, it strips away that hot, humid layer of air and replaces it with drier air from around the room. Sweating, which had basically stopped working, kicks into overdrive. Every tiny drop of sweat that turns into vapor pulls heat right out of your body. This is known as the wind chill effect. The Department of Energy figures that without changing the room's temperature at all, this breeze makes you feel about 4 degrees Fahrenheit cooler. Some tests even show it can feel closer to 8 degrees cooler in the right setup. It is this feeling of being cooler that allows you to cut back on running your expensive air conditioning. A normal 3-ton central AC unit uses between 3,000 and 3,500 watts of power when it turns on. During the hottest months of summer, running that system constantly can easily add hundreds of dollars to your monthly utility bill. For every single degree you lower that thermostat, you are asking the compressor to run longer, which burns more electricity and drains more money from your wallet. Plus, that completely ignores the upfront price tag of the AC system itself, which requires massive outdoor equipment, complicated indoor ducts, and an installation fee that often ranges from $5,000 to $10,000. A ceiling fan is a completely different beast. Even on its maximum speed, a standard fan only uses about 50 to 70 watts. That is less power than an old-school light bulb, yet it can push around 4,000 to 6,000 cubic feet of air every single minute. You don't need any special ductwork. It just hangs right from the existing electrical box in the middle of your ceiling, and the whole setup will only set you back a couple $100. But here is the major catch that a lot of people overlook. The only way a ceiling fan actually saves you money is if you are willing to turn the thermostat up and let the airflow make up the comfort difference. The Florida Solar Energy Center found that for each degree you bump up the temperature in the summer, you cut your yearly cooling costs by roughly 10 to 12%. However, they also discovered the reverse is true. If a house runs a fan but leaves the AC setting exactly the same, there are zero savings. In fact, their cooling costs went up by as much as 15%. That is because they were forcing the AC to do the exact same amount of work, while adding the power draw and the motor heat of the fan into the mix. This leads to another incredibly expensive, yet super common error: leaving the fan on when nobody is in the room. If there is no human skin in the room to feel that wind chill effect, the fan provides absolutely zero cooling, but still charges you 100% of the running cost. This is a massive issue. Across America, fans left spinning in empty rooms burn an estimated $1 billion in wasted electricity every single year. A fan is not like a porch light that you leave on so your house looks lived in. When you exit a room, hit the switch and turn the fan off. Now, before we get to the best ways to maximize your fan, there is one crucial limitation you need to know. This whole cooling trick relies on your local weather having enough dry air to actually evaporate your sweat. If your room is creeping up to 95 degrees with 90% humidity, the air around you is so packed with water that it physically cannot take in another drop from your skin. When that happens, the breeze stops cooling your body entirely. It just blows hot, wet air in your face. A ceiling fan is designed to boost your comfort. It is not a refrigerator. So, on those intensely brutal, sticky summer afternoons, you are still going to need your air conditioner running alongside it. It is also a good idea to quickly look at what makes today's fans different from older models. For the majority of the 1900s, this device was a pretty basic piece of equipment. Back in 1882, an active German-American inventor named Philip Diehl was highly focused on building electric motors. He had just successfully created the very first motor for the Singer sewing machine, which saved garment workers from having to pump a foot pedal all day. But Diehl saw that his small, strong, alternating current motor could do a lot more than just sew clothes. He grabbed one of those sewing machine motors, fixed it straight to the ceiling, and bolted a pair of flat wooden blades onto the spinning center. Right then, the original electric ceiling fan was invented. For the next 100 years, almost every ceiling fan on the market relied on an alternating current, or AC, induction motor. These were tough and inexpensive, but they often produced a deep, annoying buzz that can drive you crazy when you are trying to sleep in a quiet room. They also usually gave you just 3 basic speeds, meaning folks often ran them faster than necessary and wasted money on airflow they didn't even need. But today's newer models solve almost all of these issues. The biggest upgrade is the shift to a brushless direct current motor, which you will normally see labeled as DC or BLDC on the package. A tiny internal converter switches your home's AC power into DC power, spinning the blades using permanent magnets instead of parts that scrape together. Because of this, the friction that used to create wasted heat is mostly eliminated. What you get is a motor that stays cool, operates almost completely silently, and uses 75% less electricity. We are also seeing a huge push towards smart environmental features. Many newer smart fans come with built-in sensors to track heat and moisture. They hook up easily to your home Wi-Fi and talk straight to your smart thermostat. When the afternoon sun bakes your living room, the fan senses the heat going up and automatically spins faster to keep you comfortable, which holds off the moment your power-hungry AC unit kicks in. The actual blades on these devices have also taken a huge leap forward. Instead of using heavy, flat pieces of wood, premium brands are now shaping carved balsa wood or molded plastics into true aerodynamic wings. Shaped exactly like an airplane wing, these blades have a thicker, rounded front edge that thins out to a super sharp back edge. This shape builds low pressure on top of the blade and high pressure underneath, letting the fan quietly pull air straight down without causing a noisy, choppy wind. The top models earn an Energy Star rating and work up to 60% more efficiently than a standard fan. Plus, they often feature up to 10 precise speed settings instead of just 3. Picking a slightly lower speed instead of bumping it up to the next big jump can slash your power use by another 30 to 50%. A modern DC fan might cost $40 more at the store, but it typically saves you about $50 annually on your electric bill, meaning it pays for itself in just a year or a year and a half. All right, now that we understand how they operate, let's talk about getting the best results from your ceiling fan. The absolute biggest error people make is running the fan backwards. Research shows that more than 60% of homeowners never flip the direction their fan turns when the seasons change, and that spin direction decides if the fan is helping you or fighting against you. During the summer, the blades need to spin counterclockwise when you look up at them. That pushes that cooling pillar of air directly down onto your body. If you stand right under the fan and barely feel a breeze, it is turning the wrong way. Look for a tiny switch on the motor base to reverse it. In the wintertime, do the exact opposite. Run it clockwise on the lowest speed setting. Instead of blowing a chilly draft on you, it softly draws the cool air up from the floor and pushes the trapped warm air near the ceiling back down into the living space. Once your fan is spinning correctly, the rest just comes down to simple habits. Bump your thermostat up by about 4 degrees during the summer, and you will see a massive drop in your cooling costs. Lower your heater by a degree in the winter, and you will see the same kind of savings on your heating bill. And, as always, when you walk out of the room, hit the switch. Because running a fan that isn't cooling anybody in the summer or warming anybody in the winter is just a waste of cash. Ceiling fans are a reliable home comfort tool that have shown their value for over 100 years. The basic physics making them work haven't changed a bit in all that time. As long as you understand how to operate them correctly, they can completely transform both how you feel and what you pay for power. If you are looking for more strategies to keep your house cool this summer, check out our guide to passive cooling right here. And if you enjoy discovering these kinds of simple, money-saving home systems, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because that is the easiest way to ensure advice like this keeps showing up in your feed.